why aren't you losing weight? And what can your blood work tell you about that? And what blood work should you ask for? I bring this up in this video because this just came up yet again with one of my clients this week. So the scenario goes, oh, my body's stuck. I'm not losing weight. I'm doing the work. My blood work is perfect. I don't know what's wrong. I'm broken. I'm stuck, blah, blah, blah. And then they look at the blood work and they're looking at the fasted blood glucose, which is normal. They're looking at their A1C, which is surprisingly good. And yet they're still overweight and they're doing the work to lose the weight. And I understand the frustration. I understand why people throw in the towel, but then we have to take a closer look, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. And it's a tad frustrating for me as a coach because, you know, this is a white t-shirt. This is not a white coat. I have no medical experience whatsoever. And I hesitate and I am hesitant about, you know, talking about blood work, that I shouldn't be doing this and I shouldn't have to do this. And yet nobody else is telling my clients. So here we go. Here is one example. Looking here, fasted glucose is 98, so fasted glucose is a snapshot of how much sugar is in your blood at that moment. And for most people, that 98 would be a great reading. Moving up to the A1C, the infamous A1C that the doctors really pay attention to, and rightly so, and it's 5.1. So this is a 3-month average of your glucose. And it is a great marker for overall health. So we're looking at this and this person's like, my glucose is great, my A1C is great, you know, I'm not pre-diabetic, I'm not diabetic, so why aren't I losing weight? And then we take a close look and we want to go down here and we go to insulin and they're at 16. I'm like, well, hey ho, that's why you're not losing weight, because your insulin's too high. So 2 things here. 9 times out of 10, insulin is not in my client's standard blood work. It's in this blood work because this blood work was requested by my personal doctor, who is absolutely awesome and a unicorn in the industry. And he always requests fasted insulin. Most doctors do. I don't know. I can't say most doctors. Most blood work I see with my clients, fasted insulin is not on their standard panel, right? And yet without it, these numbers look good. This is high. Now, there's differing opinions on what is classed as high, but I'll tell you, in my experience, from my experience being what I see with my clients trying to lose weight, that number's got to be under 10. My personal number, if it means anything, is 2. But this right here is this person is not going to lose weight. So why am I saying this person's not going to lose weight? Let me pull up another diagram here. Let me go to here, and this is, guys, it's a quick plug, but this is what I coach. This is how I coach, and this part is really a big part of my coaching, and it's part of the 6-week signature weight loss program that's coming up. But anyway, plug aside, this is body fat. This is fat that has to get out of its storage site and into the blood. Once that fat is out of its storage site, i.e. body fat, into the blood, now it is available to be used as fuel. If we use it as fuel, we lose weight. If we don't lose it as fuel, it's recycled. But by the by, we can understand that the first thing that has to happen is this fat has to get out of the cell and into the blood. Well, insulin, and I'm going to super simplify here or summarize here, but insulin locks the cell so this stored fat can't get into the blood. Well, if it can't get into the blood, I'm not going to lose weight, right? I mean, it has to get out of the blood to get into, it has to get out of its storage site into the blood, travel to the working muscle, be oxidized, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing it has to do, it has to get out of its storage site. Your body fat has to get out of the storage site and into the blood, okay? Well, insulin's going to lock that. It's not going to allow that to happen. So there can be many variables on why weight loss might be stuck or might be slow, but the very first thing I am looking at is somebody's fasted insulin level. I want to know what that is. So insulin main job is to regulate sugar in the blood. So I understand why people would think that, well, if my blood sugar is normal and it's good, how can my insulin be high? Well, what's happening is insulin is regulating the sugar in the blood. But when we get into a place of insulin resistance, then it takes more insulin to do the same job. So this person has 16 units of insulin, whereas I have 2 to do the same job. And that high level of insulin, even though the blood sugar is doing great, is halting their ability to lose body fat. Guys, this is what I coach. This is how I coach. This is what I coach. And I bring this up because yet again, this week I have somebody and probably 50 pounds overweight, trying really, really hard. And I'm just stuck. It must be my age. It must be my hormones. It must be my metabolism. I heard all of that stuff. And I get that as well, because you kind of have to justify it somehow because it doesn't make sense. Their blood work did not have fasted insulin. So I asked them to go and get their fasted insulin checked. Now, they don't want to run back to the doctor and get a script and do that. So I just send my clients to lifeextension.com. And on lifeextension.com, you can order your own blood work. This is a $29 test. $29 test. By the way, there's other websites that do it. I just have always used Life Extension. Not an exclusion of your doctor. I use it more for little tests like this, like somebody didn't have that test, so go and do it yourself. Their fasted insulin was 25. Well, that's why you're not losing weight. Does that bring them any comfort? Well, I think it does. So a little frustrated, like, okay, so like, okay, that's why you're not losing weight. That's the number we have to come down. All our efforts have to be targeted to bring that number down, which we can. So even though the situation's the same, at least they see the obstacle. And as the famous book says, you know, the obstacle is the way. Once you understand the obstacle, now you see your way around it. Got to know your fasted insulin, guys. So especially if you're stuck. And then, great, I know how to coach people to bring their insulin down. That's okay. Now, with this insulin level, not to the point where it's the point where their A1C is so high that they're pre-diabetic or diabetic, but they are heading there. They are heading there. And, you know, we worry about body composition, and we can worry about body composition now, but later on with that scenario, with that picture, the concerns are going to be far greater than body composition and, you know, fat storage. And I mean, what I'm saying is that person, and those 2 people I'm talking about, have the opportunity to turn that ship around, but only because they see the obstacle they need to go around. This is how I coach, guys. And this one topic comes up a lot. Fasted insulin. It is probably not in your standard blood work panel. If you are struggling with weight or not, if it's not in your standard blood panel, please request it. I mean, or demand it, or do it yourself.